Welcome back, brothers, to the 801st Legion podcast, a Star Wars Legion podcast. Without further ado, let's get things rolling. Punch it, Kyle.
Hello there.
You must unlearn
Dark
what you
side of
have
the
learned.
Force is a pathway to many abilities.
Red,
some
green, or
considered
red, green, red.
I know that
She'll do!
Sorry about the mess.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
General Kenobi.
Let's rearrange some architecture.
Is it possible to learn this power?
I thank you for your hospitality.
Twice the pride, double the fall.
Impressive. I'll show you the dark side.
We are back. How's it going, Kyle?
We're friggity frack back, my guy.
Yo, it feels good,
Dude,
man.
oh my gosh, it's been a crazy week, and I'm just super pumped to be back. Like, I say that every week, but it's true. It's just like a highlight of my week every week.
Dude, it feels good to be back. Like, I've had all these ideas in my head, and now I can just spitball all over the
Oh,
place.
well, that's the thing. Like, we'll text each other, especially me. Like, I'm up at 3 a.m. Like, hey, I got this really cool idea for a list. I'd love to talk about it on the podcast.
no.
And then it's like, I'll get a response when I'm asleep and you're awake early in the morning for your work.
I'm up at like 5 a.m. and I'm like, what the heck is Kyle sending me all night long?
And then I'm not responding till like 2 p.m. when I wake up to go to work.
Do you want me to be completely honest? I've started putting my phone on airplane mode while I sleep because I'm like, because all that long my phone just ping, ping,
Oh
ping.
man, now I'm gonna be super self-conscious about
I'm
this.
just kidding. I'm just kidding. It's totally fine. You know, we all have those moments where we just can't sleep at night. You're good. I hear that too.
That's me every night. My work and sleep schedule is out of whack. There's got to be. I mean, to give you guys at home a little bit of things, a gauge here. We're recording this at 11 p.m.
Make a wish.
Make a wish.
Hey.
I wish Clone Commandos come this year.
You and me both.
Yeah.
Let's get Maul on the table.
Yeah,
there you
Anakin. Ahsoka. Anyway, so for some context, we're recording this at 11 p.m. We're not probably going to get finished recording till like 12:30, maybe 1 a.m.
We'll see.
So that's the thing. It's like I live 30 minutes away from our recording location. So does Matt, and so it's not going to be till like 2 a.m. till we get to go to sleep. But it's dedication. It's dedication.
It is, and honestly, like, I wouldn't put it any other way.
Yeah.
Love doing it. But yeah, I guess it was a crazy week.
Crazy week.
Any news or intel?
Yeah. So let's just get into that intel briefing, my guys. Last week's podcast was by far the most successful in the podcast history. So
Holy crap!
Mad Lads, thank you. Mad Brothers, we thank you for that. Both on YouTube and let's just focus on YouTube for 1 second. The views are better than any other video. The like ratio is better than any other video or podcast, whatever you want to call it. Every other episode. Our subscriber count jumped up by almost double. And I mean, yeah, we're still a smaller podcast, so like growing at all is, I mean, going to be huge. But to double that subscriber count is pretty great in 1 week's time.
It's wild, and honestly, we love you guys. I think the Discord is my favorite place
Oh,
right
yeah.
now. 'Cause, dude, I feel like we're having people join every day.
Yeah.
and it's so fun. We're getting to the point where there's memes everywhere. I can't keep track of what's going on. I go to the bathroom at work. I don't get great service at work, so when I go to the bathroom, it's like the one place in the entire building I can get service,
Yeah.
and my phone just goes. Bing, 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 and all these messages.
Kyle's
it's great.
going.
Oh, it's great. I
Well,
love
and then
it.
we had a gentleman from Texas come into the Discord. It's like, whoa, people outside of 801, holla.
Yo, we're bigger than just Utah.
Yeah, we're the nation's
just
number
kidding.
one podcast.
Oh, psych. No, I'm just kidding. That's great.
No, and then so outside of YouTube as well, we jumped up so many listens on other platforms as well. Like I feel like we're finally getting traction on other podcast platforms, and that was one of the things I was most worried about. Is because I have no experience marketing with other podcast platforms at all. The service Anchor has really helped me understand like what to do and like where the analytics can be, where they're at now, what to do next. But yeah, overall, just a huge thank you
Cool
guys.
stuff. Yeah, just quick reminder. Just remember that. Like, subscribe, share. for everything.
Yeah.
But
we
yeah,
wouldn't
keep
say it
going
unless
with
it mattered. You know, if
Just
you
keep
if you
going
didn't
with
hear
it.
us last week, only reason we're going to continually say the like, comment, subscribe is because interaction means everything on these platforms. So it really does help us grow and help get the word out there about this amazing game we all love.
That it does.
Moving on to the next part of Intel Briefing, we have the Clone Wars Weekly cast coming this Friday because Clone Wars Season
It's
7, baby! Clone Wars.
I mean, if you couldn't tell by now, we're pretty big Clone Wars fans.
Yes.
We're pretty big Clone Wars fans.
Indubitably.
Indubitably.
Oh, man. Okay, you haven't seen it. You just mentioned this earlier, but you haven't seen the new clip from the Bad Batch.
No,
arc.
and they just dropped that today.
They dropped that today. Let me tell you, the animation and art is absolutely astounding.
Really?
I did not know they could kick it up. They were at an 11 in season 4, 5, and 6. I feel like we're at like a 20. You know, like way past any sort of bar or threshold they've set for themselves before.
It's interesting because I know a lot of people didn't like the Rebels style because it felt too cartoony, but I did think the movements were more fluid. So I
Yeah.
wonder, is it kind of like they kept the fluidity of the Rebels but maybe amped up the animation?
Yeah, I think they really just wanted to go all in, and they knew Clone Wars Season 7 was something that everyone wanted. And so they took their time, made it right, no rush. It also helps that they're premiering on Disney Plus and not on a third, like not through a network.
Okay.
Granted, yes, it's on the Disney Channel, so they have control over it in the end anyway. But without the Disney Channel on TV being in control, there's less, at least from my perspective, I would think there's less things to go against you.
Okay.
Less time constraints. You don't have to worry about your airtime. You just put it up when it's ready. Even if you're working at the 11th hour, you know, like you're just getting it done, and it's when it's ready,
Like
it's
you're
ready.
working at your own time. I like that.
Yeah. And so like, and they've already pushed it back a week. I don't know if that had to do with anything, because it was originally planned for like the 14th, I believe.
Oh, I think so. I think it's like something like that.
So they pushed it back a week. I don't know if that was just like, oh yeah, we don't want to release this on Valentine's Day or something. I don't know, but
I mean, from all of us lonely hearts out there.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Ahsoka, will you be my Valentine in 20 years?
Oh my god. We're not even gonna go there. We're not even gonna go there.
I'm just kidding,
gosh.
of course.
But yeah.
Of course.
But we also have something else big going this week. As
Yes, big this week. We got a tournament.
Well. What?
Hit that buzzer beater.
Rip Kobe.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, we got a tournament here at Demolition Games in Salt Lake. So if you are in the area, please stop by. We got a bunch of people coming already. The more, the merrier. Swiss style format. It's going to be a great time. Matt, do you have anything you'd like to say about that?
I just come show up, guys. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So Kyle and I are hosting. With the fact that we have so many people coming, we're pretty sure because like it's the kind of thing we pretty much have confirmed like 12 people with like another 20 that are like interested but haven't given us hard confirmed dates.
Yeah.
So we're expecting even more people, and even then like we have more people every
Yeah.
single day. So it's gonna be pretty big. If you guys haven't seen, check the Discord, check the Twitter, check the Instagram. Kyle has made these incredible trophies. Spoiler alert, they're Mandalorian trophies. They're so cool.
Dude,
But they're
yeah,
made, but
they're
the best
awesome.
part is they're made to be like terrain pieces. So
Yeah.
like it's tall enough that if you want, you can put it in the center of your board, walk around it, use it, whatever you want. We've got a gold, a silver, a bronze one. They look great. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, they got the Mandalorian with little baby Yoda. They got the child in the bassinet right next to him, and I'm really impressed with the figure itself. We didn't make the figure. We ordered it from Etsy from a gentleman who was actually really appreciative that we bought 3 of them because I guess you don't get that many orders at once.
Yeah,
So-
Etsy, man. Hard
Yeah.
to do, yeah.
So he messaged me back. He's like, "Oh, I'd love to see what you're doing with these because I've never seen anyone buy more than one." And so I messaged him. He's like, "Oh man, that's awesome! Like, let me know what people think and like what." I need to send him a picture now that we have it all done because I just sent it to him like mid paint job.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah. Maybe
so-
maybe we'll have to share the link.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
I'll share the link for him, yeah.
Give him a little bit of a shout out on the Discord. So yeah, if you're not on the Discord, make sure you're on there. Link is in the description for sure. But yeah, so the tournament. If you are planning on coming, or if you're interested in coming, we just have a couple things to bring to your attention. Make sure you bring a printed list. Not super crucial. If you forget it at home, it won't be the end of the world, but it helps us save a lot of time getting your list into our system to get the Swiss generator going. I ran through all the numbers and everything today and how that's going to work. I'm good to go with the Swiss generator. We're using Tabletop TO. You don't necessarily need a Tabletop TO account because I can just put you in as a new person. You don't need an account, but if you have an account, it makes it just that much more easier.
Is it okay if people bring like lists from apps or even like emailing you lists?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So I have no issue with emailing me the list as long as it's from the same source. I will require everyone to have a tabletop Admiral list printed. That way, it's all standardized because I don't know what that one app on that one phone.
Oh, to make sure the points are right.
Yeah, because I'd hate the last thing I'd want, and that's why we have a whole hour for registration. Because one, people are going to be late. That always happens, unfortunately. But two, like if we need to have a little bit of time to be like, okay, rework your list before you get started because that's not gonna be your full point value, or that's too much because you didn't read the reprints. Because we are going off of the competitive printing, we're going off competitive points, so we're talking like huge reductions on heavy vehicles. We're talking huge reductions on upgrades and stuff.
Snipers are gonna cost you a little more.
Yeah. So like the last thing we want is any sort of confusion. So if you're listening to this, just make sure you bring a tabletop Admiral printed out sheet. I posted this on the Facebook page for the event through Demolition Games and through Utah Legion. And I'm sorry if you guys are listening to this and you're in another state. You can come if you want.
In fact, that would be huge.
Yeah.
That would be so cool. But
this is mostly for the locals, and that's why it's in the Intel briefing. And we're just going to crank through the last pieces of information here. 9 a.m. check-in, 10 a.m. start time. So that's why I said like we want to make sure we get that done efficiently. And then each game will be 120 minutes. It's the standard time that the FFG presents us with the tournament formats. 15-minute breaks in between each round. So you'll have 120-minute game, 15-minute break, 120-minute game. Then we're going to take a 30 to 45-minute lunch depending on the crowd.
Come back for finals.
Yeah, and then come back for the final round. If there happens to be a tie in any way, shape, or form, or if I feel like the points are too close between like first, second, or third, or whatever, to determine a true winner. Like I'll be honest with you. Like if it's like one victory point over another one, I might want to do a tiebreaker, just because it's a Swiss, and so not everyone is playing each other. So if those two people are really just wanting to duke it out, and maybe make a personal bet, like double or nothing, like hey,
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, and that's not a guaranteed thing, but that's just a thought, That's like. Last case scenario, maybe there'll be a fourth round, but for sure, plan on the first 2 rounds, lunch, third round.
Sounds good.
But yeah, anything else for Intel briefing, Matt?
I think we're good.
Okay, moving on to games of the week.
The games of the week.
Games of the week. All right, so games of the week, Matt. You had a couple games. I had a couple games. We all had great games. Tell me about your games.
Oh my gosh. So this is probably one of my favorite weeks of games in a while because I kept talking about Dooku and Grievous, man.
Dooku and Grievous.
And so after watching the live stream, I immediately was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's pop them back out. Let's get my boys out. So I ran Double the Fall this week. List breakdown, very standard Double the Fall. Just like Dooku with force reflexes, choke, push, aggressive tactics. Grievous with aggressive tactics, tenacity, his pistol, the Annihilator pistol. And then 6B1s. One of them they all had the heavy gunner. 2 of them had an extra trooper. 2 of them had HQ uplinks. 2 of them were just naked with the heavy. Well, I say naked, but they had the heavy gunner. And great list. Absolutely loved it. Played 5 games, lost 1, won 4.
Okay.
Which is really good. That's like an 80%.
Who'd you lose to?
Okay, but all right. So lost to Kyle, but I also beat
You
Kyle.
also beat me. Bad. You beat me twice. No, yeah, it was a great couple games. I don't want to say that, but I just wanted to.
It was a really intense game. A lot of fun, but
we'll come back to that in a minute though. Tell me about some other games though.
Yeah, so a lot of fun. Ended up playing. The cool thing about playing the droids so much this week is I played the droids against the Empire, droids against Rebels, and droids against Gar. So. Which is really fun. So I got to run the whole gambit of everybody to play against, kind of see how they matched up with. And it was interesting because I feel like with most of the matchups, they were slightly unfavorable to me.
Really?
Because I've with the Empire, completely outranged. Just getting shot at range 4 really quickly.
That's going to be a pain. Yeah.
Super pain,
especially when you can't defend against
you
that.
You can't do anything about it. You're a droid. You just
lean over.
just bend over a little bit.
Take that, Clankus.
Oh no! Yeah, I hate to see it. I hate to see it.
Oh,
but yeah, that's a funny thing you say that because like there was a point during my games, each game where I was just like, you know what? I don't give a rat's what happens to the B1s. Like they're gonna die. I just got to make sure Dooku and Grievous can do their thing.
Yeah.
And the thing that was interesting, I do kind of want to mention a game against Empire player because he had dewbacks.
Dewbacks.
I think you played.
I played the same list. We played the same night.
We did,
Yeah.
when we swapped, and we both had things to talk about with the dewback.
Yeah.
So we'll save this later, but I do want to talk about the game against the Rebels.
Oh, the Rebels.
The
yes.
Rebels, because they had ATR2 with the flamethrower and the Tons with comms jammers. So
Okay.
and Sabine
Sabine.
with her bombs, and then Han Solo. And so I think Han Solo is the one thing that I was like, okay, maybe this is a little bit of a difference for the list. Maybe it's the one thing that I don't have to worry about because he's got range 2 on his gun.
And then Gunslinger. And
With Gunslinger, and I will admit this, the nice thing about droids is that they don't care about Pierce.
yeah. Because they were going to die anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, cool. You pierced droids. Like, they were dead anyways.
Congratulations, you hit a still target.
Yes, exactly. And same thing with like orbital bombardment and maximum firepower. I'm like, great. Like,
Yeah.
don't really give a rat's.
Yeah.
But,
If I were to do, you speak of orbital bombardment, like, I would rather get my first 2 shots off at the chance of getting like Dooku and Grievous. Like, even if I don't, like, it's gonna matter more in the long run for the risk. It's a risk and reward thing, sure.
What's cool too is you can get those early like 1 damage on them. I love Dooku, but 6 health sometimes does not seem like a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's true because like your list, Double the Fall depends on those 2 guys doing what they do, you know. And if they can't do what they do, then you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah. If you find yourself going downhill too fast, you're gonna have a bad time.
You're gonna have a bad
Yeah.
time. No, I think Han is a super interesting choice for that list, especially with Sabine. You don't see that combination too much.
No,
Which is good. Like, I like that this player is experimenting.
it was interesting because I feel like the whole list was just working fantastic.
Yeah.
But what was interesting was Han has his command cards do a little bit of some shenanigans.
Yeah.
Like Dooku's do. So it got me kind of thinking like
He pretty much has the same thing Dooku
same
does.
things Dooku does.
Like, you can't do that. Oh, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, so I kind of ended up relying on I kind of ended up relying on Dooku's cunning to get me through that.
Yeah.
Except Han has a 0 pip, so whatever.
Did it work for you? Like, did you get that put in your face at all?
Actually, once, but it was interesting because the way it worked out is we ended up deploying very close playing key positions on one corner of one side, so we didn't even go on the other side. So that, which I love, is the droids because I can keep them real close, walk them up.
And last
do some
turn,
damage.
you're like, okay, I'm here.
Yeah, you're like, okay, great. I have 6 units here.
Yeah.
Have fun. I just have to pick you off. But I was able to maneuver things in a way that the Tauntauns, they were coming down the middle of the board.
Okay.
So they're kind of doing a flanking maneuver. But I popped Grievous and Dooku right out, so they're both about range 1, range 2 of Sabine.
Okay.
And right as she moved her up. And so Sabine, I knew she was going for her bombs, and that was like, this is where
That's
I think
not
the
what you
game
want.
changed. Because I knew bombs were coming, so I played Double the Fall.
Yeah.
So made her made her chip go back into her hand, kind of made it feel like a waste. But here's the funny thing, is that she reached back into the bag after shaking it, pulled Sabine right out again, which was interesting.
Would have been a sick play on your part. It was a sick play.
It was a sick play. Like, by all accounts,
But the force was definitely against you on that one.
It was funny because she looked at me, she just goes, I know you put it back in there, but I'm just going to pull it right out. And you know how you can feel the vibes?
No.
Something inside me was like, she's just going to pull it right out. And I was like, nah.
No.
And then she reached in and pulled it back out. I was like, the fuck? It was hard. So, but the bombs, when they went off, they didn't cause that much damage.
No.
And so, but with Sabine then being there, I was able to do some shenanigans and get Dooku in there. And Grievous. Because she went, and then because I played Dooku's pip, I had given it to the droids, so the bag was just Grievous Dooku. So I pulled it out, gave it to Grievous. Grievous rushed up, hit her, basically one-shot at her, and then with his one pip the next turn, and then when he did his swing, the lightsabers, whatever his last attack, finished her off. She had one more health. So it got her in one turn. And at that point, the Tons and the ATRT who were coming up were like, whoa.
Right in your face.
Yeah, they were literally about to get in there with comms jammers and just break my droids, but suddenly they had to stop and be like, well, I can't just go for B1s because now I'm getting wrecked by it.
Yeah.
So they both kind of pulled in. What was nice, too, is Grievous had already taken out the ATRT. He did a lot of damage. and then the droids lit it. Well, and then Dooku lit it up.
So in one turn, you're saying Sabine and the ATRT got taken out?
So it was like turn 2. I think I remember it was turn 2 or turn 3. The ATRT went, and then the very next. It was like turn 2. The ATRT went out.
Okay.
A lot of lucky hits with some crits and just some bad rolls. And then literally the beginning of the next turn, Sabine was gone. And so at that point, you're looking at Tons, some Rebel troopers, Vet, and Han.
Yeah.
So it's not bad, but you're down to
But Han can't pull that. See, I see what the
Yeah.
list was going
Yeah.
for too, because like, did she take the Darksaber on Sabine?
She did. So she even
Oh.
had Impervious, and that was what sucked for her was with the Impervious roll. Still Grievous got her.
See, I thought the mindset would have been actually use them both as gunslingers, because Sabine also has gunslinger if she doesn't take the Darksaber. Well, I think she can still use gunslinger.
She can still use Gunslinger.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind.
It's
then.
just in the melee thing.
Yeah.
I think it was just a hard decision. So when the Taunts came, basically the Taunts had to sweep around. They stopped, turned around, swept back to take care of Grievous. And then Grievous, his defensive rolls, he blocked everything for a whole turn. So by that point, it ended up just
Grievous
being.
so much.
I love Grievous.
I know you do.
I love him so
know
much.
you do.
I think I like Dooku a little bit better, but
Yeah. He
and then
performs a whole lot differently than when I
does.
first saw him on the table. I'll tell you that.
he does. And
Yeah.
and so that just kind of like by the very end, we just bum rushed it. Ended up winning by one droid touching a key position.
That's all it counts. Doesn't matter if you win by a droid or a B1 or a B2.
B1 or B2. It was a B1.
A win is a win. No, that's great.
It was a good game.
Well, it sounds like towards the end it kind of got closer too.
It was because here's the thing. The nice thing with Han is there was like this archway that was the centerpiece. That was a key position, and there's like steps built into it. So Han was able to pop up the arch, shoot a little bit, get covered too.
Nice.
And the next turn he'd shoot and then pop down.
Oh.
And then so he kept doing this thing, and so I couldn't kill him. I just could not kill him, but I was able to pick
it.
it.
Shoot at him. He's like, all right, uncanny luck.
Okay, dude. And the funny thing is, I feel like it shouldn't work. It does.
It does.
It does, which freaking sucks. But it was interesting. And it was a fun game.
Yeah.
But Dooku, I did want to bring this up, man. Some of the shenanigans you can do with Dooku, especially during another game where I played the Empire, man. Some of the shenanigans, like you get up there, and I think I did this against you too, where you move into scatter range, lightning them.
Pull them out of
Pull them
cover.
out of cover, and then you're close enough that you can pull the force push on
Yeah.
them. And so you're into melee suddenly. I did that a couple times with people where it's like, okay, scatter you out of cover, now you're close enough to pull you into melee or to force push you. And it's just wild. I'm really loving or I did his card, You Disappoint Me.
Oh yeah.
A couple times where you can hit people, do the 2-speed maneuver. I did that in the second game for the win, where I was able to do that, push Veers off an objective, win the game. He's got some shenanigans that I absolutely love.
Yeah, Dooku has so many tools in his box that is just insane. Master of the Force 2, so it's like for example, when I play a Kenobi or Operative Luke lately, it's like Master of the Force 1, I'm like, dude, this is awesome. I love untapping this every round. And then it's like, Dooku can do that twice? What?
I love it. He's like, all right, this turn I'm going to force push you. I love it because you get up there and you can be like, okay, first thing, I'm going to lightning you.
It's
I'm
just-
going to move.
Right? Like, if you're in his bubble of range 1,
Oh my
Dooku
gosh.
has complete control over you.
Like he owns you.
Good night, dude. Like, it's insane. And I love that. And at first, like I was saying earlier, like, when he was first on the table, I was like, Dooku's kind of dumb. Like,
Well, he
he's
doesn't
not-
have relentless
Yeah.
or charge. So it's like, what the heck? Like,
Yeah, but then you start using him properly, it's like, oh my gosh, he sucks. Like, to play against. Like, he's really does suck.
Well, and I don't know how it is from your side. Like, what?
It's
what is
horrible.
What
I'll
is
tell
it,
you what,
What is
family.
it like when he's like, okay, Dooku moves here, he does this, and he gets deflect for free because
Yeah.
he has force reflexes. He's going to choke out the heavy gunner here, pull these guys, and then force push these guys.
I'll tell
it's
you what,
wild.
it is
it's
so
insane.
obnoxious when a dark side user can just be like, yeah, that heavy gun that you spent 46 points on, we're just going to get rid of that. Like, it's so obnoxious.
I did that to like a couple heavy gunners, and it's wild. You're like, okay, you've got like, for example, the rebel player had like the ion gunner, just ion's dead.
Okay.
Or against you, it was like, oh, you've got your shotgun, shotgun's dead.
All right, so here's the thing, right? I'm not saying that's broken because it's actually really good ability that I'm okay with letting it be good. What I'm saying, though, is I wouldn't be surprised if they in the future change that, how that works. I wouldn't be surprised.
I feel like there is a timing issue
Yeah.
for a lot of it.
Well, it's
Here's
just
the
because,
thing.
like-
I will say it is hard to pull off because in our second game,
Yeah.
to try and pull those things off required me putting Dooku in a position that got him dead.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's more like you have to be the right time, the right place.
Well, and that's the thing. It comes with experience playing the Separatists, and you have like such a huge advantage of playing the Separatists so much, while yet nobody else is playing against them. So it's like, oh yeah, I have all the control here. Like you have no idea what I'm planning on doing.
That is another thing I want to bring up, dude. In our local area, I see a ton of Empire.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm the only Separatist player.
Yeah.
There's maybe one or two other people at other stores, but
Yeah.
like I don't see anybody
I've
else.
seen them brought to like a skirmish game, but never a full point game. And I get it; it's hard, right?
They're definitely a much more like finesse faction.
Yeah, and I've seen, both new factions I see barely any of. And you're right, I see droids less than I see clones, but just the fact that like I think people just don't want to give them a chance, you know.
There isn't, and I think it does help that there's like not much more to use with them right now.
Well, and that kind of goes to our games this week between you and I. You beat me the first game pretty good too, and then the second game something came up and we had to call it quits early, and then that happened. So and you were gonna win that game like turn one.
So really, that one's a wash. That one's a wash.
But it's still like I could tell where that game was gonna go, and I wasn't gonna win. But then we just were like, all right, we have time. Let's get another game in, and we did turn three.
Flip the script, right?
Yeah, and a little bit, yeah. But like, it's also because one, out of anyone I've seen in our local area, I've played against droids the most, and I played against you the most. So I know how to like, and it goes back and forth. You know how to work me, I know how to work you, and we piss each other off with it.
like you just know what's coming, and you know what to do. Yeah.
Well, and it's kind of like what you said. Like you had to put. I wanted you to come in a little bit to try and get Dooku and Grievous into a spot where I could take advantage of that. You know, before I was playing Kenobi super aggressively. I'd like, all right, Kenobi, you're pretty much just going to go off and do your own thing. You're going to hunt down their commander or whatever. It works, okay. Like, if you're playing certain lists, it works. When you're playing someone with, like, Dooku and Grievous, it doesn't work because they're both going to come at you, and it's not a good time. It's not a good time at all. So I've learned lately, and you were telling me this when we first started playing clones and droids, is like, oh man, you should consider playing Kenobi a little bit more defensively. And I have been, and it's working great because, like, okay, I'll do his General Kenobi Surge Bomb, and then I didn't do it this last game, but if I wanted to, if I had the opportunity to, I should say, I could have fire supported, and if all the Surge tokens would have been taken care of because they would have had, or
That's
the dice.
true.
Because they would have.
True.
I should have done that and made it a little bit easier for myself, but I was actually going off of another thing you said. You were like, oh man, I don't know if fire support's worth it. I feel like it's going to go away here. It's like going to be a nifty little thing for a little bit, and then it's not going to be important. So I tried to play these last few games with the clones without using it at all. I got to say, I think I'm still going to go back to using it because I still feel like an absolute deletion of a unit is worth it, especially if, like, in our games, I out-activated you already. So if I was able to out-activate you twice over,
Kind of start the avalanche.
Yeah. Well, it's like the whole thing when you go up against a list like Double the Fall. You have to be so patient. I lost so many guys before I even put a dent in you. But once I got Grievous and Dooku down, that's when I was like, oh, okay, I can breathe. And then I still had 6 core units to deal with.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay, I'll talk about that for a little bit, like, because you did it in our game, and I want you to talk about your other game too.
Yeah, I'll get back.
But you did a completely different strategy that time.
Yeah.
How did that work for you, and what happened?
It worked well because I pulled out the win on that one for sure, but also at the same time, it's like I'm forcing myself to play. Maybe I mentioned this on our podcast previously too. I don't think Kenobi is very good for the clones as it stands right now. I don't think he's a good commander to take when you have options like Rex. That's cheaper. You can fit more clone units in there and get more activations. Good activations too, especially with Phase 2's coming out with Reliable and getting those search tokens. You may not even need to take aggressive tactics because your clones are going to have a search token from Reliable
They're
already.
already sharing surges, yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be great. So the point effectiveness is really good with Rex. I do, after playing with him and sticking with him a little bit more, I am starting to see much more utility out of Obi-Wan. I still don't think he's the one you want to take. But I do have I talked to you about this earlier too. I have an idea, like when Padme comes out, I think he's going to be really good with Padme because his big stick is like, oh, Guardian 3. Why on earth would you want a Guardian away hits that clones have equal chance of blocking as Obi-Wan does? You know, in fact, more of a chance if their other clones have surge tokens.
Well, especially you kind of want your clones taking the hits a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just weird. I feel like he's going to be better with units that have white saves, like Padme coming out. She's going to have white saves. And so that's going to be really nice. And because she has danger sense as well. So, like, if Kenobi Guardians, say 4 hits come at Padme, okay? Kenobi Guardians away 3. In an ideal situation, he blocks all 3. Then what does Padme have? She has 1 coming at her, but she also has danger sense. So now she has 1 block to worry about, and she has a really good chance of getting that to go away.
One that she's just going to reroll if she doesn't get it.
Right, exactly. So, like, I feel like Kenobi's time is nigh. It's just not here yet.
Yeah. It doesn't help that he's already expensive
Yeah.
in an army that's expensive.
Well, he's the same points as the Saber class tank, and the Saber class tank throws Kenobi's dice at range 4. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like, why do I want Kenobi right now?
And it can share tokens.
Yeah, and it gets your token.
So it's like, okay, come on.
I just don't know what it is about Kenobi. Like, I want him to work. I've gotten him to work in very hairstring situations, you know, very like nail biting, like I might lose this kind of situations. But I feel like when I just take Rex and focus more on beefing up my clone units, the game goes much, much better for me with whoever I play.
Well, it's like a well-oiled machine
Yeah.
that doesn't. It's like a supercar.
Yeah.
Versus like a lowrider, you know what I mean, kind of thing. Like it's got a
Yeah.
gimmick, but I have to agree with you on that one. Now a lot of people might disagree, and I think that's fine. They probably have different experiences.
Yeah, well, and by all means, tell us your ideas in our
Yeah.
Discord or in the comment section here.
Like if you think we're wrong, or if you have ideas, or if you've had different experience, please tell us.
Because I don't know how to express this anymore. I want Kenobi to work for me so well. Like, so badly, I mean. I want him to work so much.
Dude, he's a meme for a reason.
And I don't know. Like, I don't know what it's going to take. Is it going to take, like, a cheaper core unit? Is it going to take Gungans? Is it going to take Coruscant troopers, guards, or whatever? Is it going to take Anakin for synergy or something?
Something. I think you said maybe, we brought this up before, maybe Cody, but beside the point. But yeah, how'd your other game go this week then? 'Cause you played Dewbacks.
Yeah,
right?
so I played the same list you played against, and it was actually another one that I feel like if I had focused more on my clones, I would have done better. But Kenobi actually, I don't know. It's hard to say because Kenobi did come in clutch because I played a list that had that list that we talked about, double Dewbacks. Armor 1 on red saves, pretty scary on a trooper unit. And so turn 1, he got up into my face ready to shoot turn 2, which I found out later he shouldn't have been able to do technically with how he spurred. But I didn't know it.
Did he spur without doing suppression on him?
Yeah, so like he didn't get 2 suppression for the roll.
Oh, honest mistake.
Honest mistake. I didn't know any better because this is the first time I've honestly. I think we played one game where you had the Dewbacks, but because I've charged Tauntauns at the Dewbacks and you charged your Dewback at my Tauntauns, they canceled each other. So like I don't really feel like I've ever really played against the Dewbacks.
Well, I have to admit I have felt a little discouraged to run them just because I feel like Tons. We'll get to this later, but I feel like they are the better of the two.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like it comes back to this ideology that like, oh, it's not the best, so it's not good. No, like stuff that's not the best is still really good. Second place in the Olympics is still better than 99.9% of the population.
You're still second in the world. Like, that's
yeah.
really good.
Yeah, and I think people want to look down on that because like, okay, but what if you're a better player than the person that has Tauntauns? You're probably still going to win, you know? Just because their unit has a little bit more utility and effectiveness to it doesn't mean you can't exploit their weaknesses better. Hot take, I honestly think people just don't give Dewback enough chance. I think between its delay, its reprint issues, most of the delay because it was supposed to come out at the same time as the Tauntauns. People have had more time with the Tauntauns. I honestly think Dewbacks are underplayed because I think they're good. I really do.
Yeah. Especially
what they offer. If you have a Flame Trooper on those and you're getting up into range 1, picking limited Viz so you can't get picked off early, that's just pretty good. And we'll come back to like deployment options for those guys later in the episode. But
yeah, well, it's interesting because like I think we both agree Tons are like objectively the better of the two. But I found the Dewback like there was a moment where playing that guy that he got him into heavy cover, but he could still shoot me, and he was in like ramming distance the next turn. And do you know how annoying that was with B1s to throw like I had a good roll with B1s. Where,
Yeah.
like, I got like 6 hits. 6 hits on B1s. Like, that was great. I didn't even have to aim on that.
All white dice, probably.
Yeah, I had like, honestly. Okay, side note. I had this one moment playing Kyle that, like, it was God tier. And I think that was all the luck I'll ever have for my entire life. When I hit the bark with the B1s.
Oh, yeah. That was pretty
this
nuts.
unaimed shot at the bark was like 6 hits, killed it, 1 hit.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that'll ever happen again. But like it was annoying to do that against the Dewback and have him be like, okay, heavy cover, take away 2, armor 1 will cancel that one. So that's 3 hits gone.
Yeah.
And then when he rolls 2, like, he rolls 2 blocks.
Yeah.
Like, feels bad. I will say this though. I think you're right. Maybe the unit. I think the Dewback just needs something to complement it because I think the Tons really complement the playstyle of the Rebels. I don't know
Yeah.
if the Dewbacks are that complement for the Empire playstyle quite yet.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there's stuff coming out in the future maybe we don't know about that it'll be like, oh, hot dang, like a Dewback would really work well here.
Yeah, and that's a very good point because like we have upgrades coming out in this near future that I think like our speculation between us, like it may like benefit. I don't know. I think the big problem with the Dewbacks is people want to call them slow when they're really not. They're really at speed 1. They're still moving speed 2 with their base size. So it's pretty fast. So a speed 3, spurring is practically a speed 3, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a little less. We did the math.
Yeah. But it's still really fast for a creature. They're just slightly slower than the Tauntauns, as they should be. They're heavy.
They're bigger boys.
Yeah. But yeah, red saves armor 1. I'll tell you what. Also, the armor 1 on that unit on the Dewback has made me even more hopeful for the B2 battle droids, because at first I was like, oh well, that's kind of bad because now everybody that has impact is going to be able to benefit from armor against the B2s, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, not a lot of people are taking impact.
Yeah.
Like I would rather even going up against a list, like if in the ideal situation where I knew where I was going up against and I was building a list to take down heavy units with armor, I would still probably prefer critical because I can get impact through exploiting their firing arcs or whatever.
Well, what's nice too, you brought this up.
Yeah.
Critical happens
Before dodge and cover, yeah.
before dodge and cover.
Impact takes place after, so I could potentially not even take advantage of impact at all. And that's unfortunate, but that's life too. But that also like is really good for people with armor 1, like really good, especially with B2s going to be lower to the ground, taking more advantage of cover. Like that's going to be really, really good.
They're going to be tall like Wookiees, but I think there is a good way to put it off.
Yeah.
Pull it off.
But yeah, those are our games this week. Are we missing any, Matt? Anything else you want to talk about our games?
No, I just thought just bring up the Dewbacks. Like, if you guys want to try them, let us know how they
Yeah.
go. Let us know your experiences.
Yeah, please
things
do.
like that.
Well, because like I have a list in mind that I want to try.
Yeah.
It's a meme list for sure.
Oh.
But I call it "You can run, but you can't hide."
Dewbacks hides.
Yeah, because Dewbacks have
Oh.
hides. So it involves Iden Versio. So when she comes out, it's all about controlling the bounty, right? So it's Iden Versio. And I don't have the list
Dude,
on me right
Bosk.
now.
It was
Yeah,
Bosk,
so
right?
Bosk is the hunter, is the body, or is the operative, but also Boba. So I'm going in on double bounty pretty much. It's a meme list, I know. A couple bare bones storms. I think it's actually shore troopers and mortars to get that suppressiveness going to slow people down. So Bosk can. So the idea is that mortars can slow people down. Iden can ping them off one at a time, and once that person, like let's say I'm going up against Leia or Han, right, and I bountied both of them. Once those units are at 1 to 2 health, that's when Bosk and Boba come in to take the bounty, right? And then to bolster that to fight off core units, I have double Dewbacks.
Double Dewbacks.
So you can run, but you can't hide. It's a meme list, I know, but I want to. I don't even play Empire, but I want to try it.
We'll have to try and see how it goes.
I have no Empire units other than like my one Palpatine figure. I had just that idea for.
Gotta post a picture of that.
I will have to post a picture about that. But yeah, those are our games for the week. Good time playing as always, Matt. With you, we'll always. I feel like Matt and I will always have a game to talk about that we played each other. And that's just going to be a super solid thing, with some stability there. Overall, good games this week. I think I'm going to take Obi-Wan. I'm going to take a break from Obi-Wan. I'll give him a chance again after Phase 2 clones come out. give him a little bit of a break.
Same. I think I'm going to run the droids at the tournament just for variety's sake again, and then I'll probably try some more Empire.
Well, that's the thing, dude. Like, I still feel like with how you run your, I've told you this in private too, but like I feel like with how you run that list too, I'm biased aside. Like, I seriously think you're a top contender.
Thanks,
Just
guy.
with how you run that list is beautiful to see.
Well, you flatter me, okay?
I
We'll see
love
how it
dying to you.
goes.
Why can't I quit you?
Oh, man. Oh,
$10 if you can name that movie.
I'm not going to. I'm sorry. Oh, man.
Oh man, I
Well-
wish I could quit you, I guess is the real line. Anyways, moving on to the topic of the week. Matt, what is our topic of the week?
This is a big topic that you and I have discussed a lot, and we want to talk about kind of what Kyle has termed. What is the term, Kyle?
Legion is an 8-round game.
Legion is an 8-round game. And we're going to talk about that a little bit because we're going to talk about, we all know rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you've probably heard of round 0. But we also want to talk about what we think is also super important, round 7.
Round
the
7.
8th round.
Yeah.
And why that's important. But let's start maybe with round 0. Start at
Okay.
the beginning.
So round 0, the devs, we call it round 0. The devs on their stream recently called it turn 0. Either one, you
Doesn't
can use them
matter.
interchangeably.
Doesn't
Turn
matter.
0, round 0, it's the same, right? Turn 0 is what happens before the game. What kind of unit are you bringing to the table? What kind of list, what kind of deployment do you want with that unit? How does that fit with your other units? You know how we talked about a couple weeks ago, like the tournament mindset. You know, how do you want to form your jello around the banana?
Yeah.
Like, how do you make an effective list? That's all part of no, that's not all of it, but that's part of turn 0. Like,
Yeah.
what are you thinking about before the game gets started?
I agree, and it's cool that we talk about this right now, especially going into the tournament we're hosting this weekend, because most games, in fact, I would argue every single game is won in turn 0. The way you deploy, which board edge you pick, especially the objectives that you're willing to do, or which condition cards you take, really determine the outcome of the game, and that's why I want to talk about this a little bit more. Maybe help you guys get a better start to your games, so you can have a better beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
And hopefully win more.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, like things can happen in turn 0, like Matt was saying, where 90% of the time, like you're gonna win your games in turn 0. 90% of the time, you'll also make a decision in turn 0 that costs you the game. Right? It goes both ways. For example, and I don't want to go into too much detail, but one of the games Matt and I played this week, something happened in turn 0 that like completely just let me just get run over. And so I could speak from experience. Like if you let yourself get distracted or not focused in turn 0 with how I deployed my clones wrong. I just had some stuff in, like, again, I won't go into too much detail. Just some stuff in the personal life that came up right before we were about to start to play. And it's unfortunate, but it happens. But yeah, so I made some poor decisions on deployment, what side of the board I wanted, all that kind of thing. I made poor decisions, and I knew before round 1 was over that those decisions cost me the game. Not always will you be able to tell during turn 0 that turn 0 cost you the game, right? Like it's hard to tell. It's like, well, okay, maybe I can recover from this.
Yeah.
Usually by turn 1 or 2, you're like, nope, I done screwed up.
Well,
you know.
I think that's an interesting thing, and like I think first, like I think for the first thing you should always do is look at your opponent's list. First
Yes.
of all. Because like for example, in a couple of the games this week, there were times where I'd be playing, I'd be like, oh crap, like. Because you do your Tron, you do your clones as Tron characters, so you've got like white ones, green ones, red ones, blue ones. But like I was like, oh crap, like what do those white troopers have on them? And I found myself with some of those games being like, oh crap, what do they have? But then there are other times where I was like, okay, like I know what that set of troopers have, so I can deploy this character here. And I think that's the first thing you got to do as well, like because those things are so big.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a huge missed opportunity, especially in a competitive setting. When you don't ask to, you have the right. In fact, I should say it should be a requirement, but people don't make it a requirement. But you have the right to know what list you're facing before you even get started. Before you pick objectives, before you pick anything, you should know what kind of thing you're facing. Because that way you can be like, well, my unit's going to be better at this, so I want to push for this deployment. You know?
Exactly. And like I bring this up because I feel like for some very competitive people, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of times that I'm like, hey, do you want to look at my list? And
Right.
people say, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, they
And
just
I'm
don't
like,
bother.
whoa. Like, I know you know I'm playing droids, so maybe you've seen it before.
Yeah.
So you'll get it. But, like, when I'm playing Empire, it's like, yeah, I'm bringing Shorelines, but Palpatine, man. Like, if you've never
Yeah.
played Palpatine, take a look.
Yeah.
You're going to want to know what's happening. And I always feel bad for people when you pull – I hate to say you pull the trick on them, but you pull the maneuver on them, I guess is a better way of saying it. And they feel caught off guard. Like, don't get caught off guard.
Oh, you just mean by like an action or a card?
Yeah,
maybe?
like
Oh,
you should know what those upgrades are. And
Yeah, no, I totally get it.
And I say that because as you're matching things up on turn 0, like when you're looking at each other, and you see your opponent place a unit, and you place a unit, you're essentially matching those pieces up like chess pieces, like saying, this core trooper unit is going to go against that core trooper unit. I know those tawns are sweeping around the side, so when I put my set of like IRGs with Palpatine here on the side, what I'm really trying to do is goat you there.
Yeah.
So my IRGs can take care of you.
Right.
We're trying to create matchups between what I have and what you have.
Right, and I mean that's
super
not
important.
always the case too, because like sometimes you'll want
Yeah.
sometimes you want your opponent to think you're going to do something, like, or maybe for example, one of my best examples for this would be snipers. Right, if your
Yeah.
opponent doesn't have snipers, it's pretty freaking obvious where you're going to put your snipers. You're going to want the high cover that's in your deployment zone, so you can start just being where you want to be, or if not, you're going to want to go to where you want to be. Right. Snipers are super predictable, especially with Rebels and Empire, right? I mean, I guess that's the only people who have
So far.
So
Yeah.
far.
So far.
So snipers are super predictable. I usually start off by deploying those first, and then wait for my opponent to deploy some heavy hitters, because if they don't have snipers, then they have to start placing things that aren't as predictable, right? And then I can take advantage of that, like, oh, they're placing, let's say, Tauntauns over there. All right, well, I'm going to be further away with these guys now because I can do that. Tauntauns can't get up into this perch as easily. Yeah, sure, they have a couple keywords to help them get up places, but not as easily as, like, if I was just on the ground, you know?
No, and that's just a free activation where, because we all have, each list has, this is like jumping ahead of everything, but you want to know what your opponent's key pieces are
Right.
when you're looking at their list. Like Tons example, you say, okay, crap, they've got 2 Tons. Where are they going to put them? Where they put them is going to be a big determiner of how are they going to run. Who are
Right.
they going after?
Well, and Tauntauns are super sneaky too, because like you could again catch your opponent off guard, deploy them like facing one way, and because you can rotate, you can pivot for free. You can just pivot the way
And
you
go the
want to go.
exact opposite way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, you can catch your opponent off guard with this like bait, like you
Yeah.
said. You know, I'm baiting my opponent into thinking I'm going to do this. It's kind of what I like to do now that I'm running R2. And we'll talk about this a little bit later. But I've been playing a lot of R2 lately, trying to get his thing to work with his secret mission. I've started to let secret mission just go away and use R2 as a support unit. But my opponent doesn't know that usually. My opponent doesn't know that R2 has suppressive unless they asked. So if I'm suppressing and then Rex does fire support on his card, that's
A
super
lot.
good.
Or like even if your opponent thinks, oh crap, now I need to dedicate one of my activations
Yeah.
to go tie up R2D2.
It's like, all right, you
That
just
sucks.
Yeah, like you just gave your 80-point activation to my 30. So.
yeah, like that's a good trade.
Yeah.
but those are just some important things, and like there's a lot to talk about. I guess so. So number one, check your opponent's list,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What do you think would be point number 2, like to win turn 0?
Yeah.
To do turn 0. What would you think be the next step?
Know what your list is geared for, right? So know, like, if I have X or if I have A, B, and C units, I should be bidding for these deployment conditions. I should be deploying for these objectives. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So like if I had like a gun line list, what would I want?
So if you had a gunline list, so you're asking the wrong person because I don't run gunline.
Oh, right, 'cause I'm a gunline
So Matt,
guy.
if I were running a gunline
Oh,
list,
yeah.
if you're running a gunline list, what kind of deployment would you want?
Oh man, well, first of all, I would want something where I can spread my guys a little bit,
Okay.
chain my orders, but focus fire on you. Like as a gunline person, I love major offensive.
Major offensive is really good for
absolutely
gunlines,
love
yeah.
it. Because what it does is it creates a little amphitheater of guns where I'm shooting you at range 4. So if you step into the middle of that firing line, not only am I shooting you at range 4, I'm shooting you a lot at range 4. Gun lines also don't really want to play recover the supplies. Why is that? Because a gun line is made to kill you.
Yeah.
So playing the game, there's 2 aspects to the game. There's the victory token or victory points game, and there's the killing game.
Yeah.
The killing game is kind of attrition. You either win it off the bat or you like wear each other down
Yeah.
in the end. For gun lines, I'm probably not going to win the recover the supplies position. I'm just not that mobile.
Yeah.
But when it comes to intercept, I can slowly work my way up. When it comes to key positions, I can slowly work my way up. I can get there later. And since I'm shooting you a lot, I have more people left at the end of the game. So definitely you're looking at, you want to have a deployment. You want to push for deployment that's good so you can get your shots in. You want to play for something that's probably more geared towards kill points, like for evaporators is a great one.
Yeah.
You do your evaporators and then you just go to kill points.
Yeah.
To be very kill point focused, very long distance focused.
I would say
long march is also really good.
Yeah, well, and
Long
that's the
march is
thing.
really
Long
good
march,
for gun lines.
breakthrough, maybe not as much, but breakthrough also is more of a denial game. Like if
It's
you
more
want,
force them to come
yeah,
to you. Yeah,
and that's fine. So that way you could again go to points if you want to. I would say 9, and this is getting shaken up as we introduce new factions and new units for all factions. But let's just take it back a few months when it was just Empire and Rebels. I would say 90% of Empire or Rebel victories were when they were down points but had more objectives. Empire with their gun lines thrives on killing things, like you said, like gun lines. Like that's their big shtick.
they
right?
suppress the crap out of you.
Yeah,
too,
suppress, kill, and that's why those deployments that you mentioned are so key. Those objectives. Now let's flip the coin, right? I'm playing Tauntauns. I'm playing Rebels with hyper mobile units, really squishy but also slippery too. So like you don't want to get them out in the open. So maybe you're deploying on something more close to disarray. Maybe you want to break up your opponent's gun line. Maybe that's something you want to consider.
Or have tauntauns coming in at you from the sides.
Right.
Like,
that's not what you want, right? And I don't see people take disarray a lot, but I like that deployment the more I play it because it's like, all right, at least as Rebels, I don't want to play that with clones, like at all.
As a droid player and Empire player, I don't want to play disarray. I
Right.
really don't want to play disarray.
I feel like Rebels benefit more from disarray because, they can have Tauntauns or Speeders come out from the side, and that's nasty. Maybe you want to go for the intercept the transmissions because you can get it and run because you're way quicker usually.
Or for the recover the supplies.
Recover the supplies. Thank you. Conditions, limited viz, I think is a good one. Like auto include if you're Rebels. You don't want to get pinged a guaranteed hit from a sniper from far away turn 1. That feels bad, man.
That feels way bad.
It feels way bad. And also, it's like really, as an Empire player, right? Actually, no, this is good for both players. Limited viz, like let's put.
Ooh, as an Empire player, I hate limited
Right.
viz.
Let's take Veers versus Leia. In that case, neither of them wants limited viz because both of them are going to want to do their extra attack activation thing, and I can't shoot beyond range 3 turn 1 with Leia. So why would I pull that card as soon as I did? So I'm going to have to suffer through it a little bit. And that's just some things you have to think about. Like turn 0, where am I deploying? What kind of conditions? What is going to hinder me at all?
Yeah.
So we got what do we got so far? First we got. I just said what kind of list you're gonna build.
So like knowing your list and your opponent's list, right?
Yeah. So knowing your list and your opponent's list, number 1. Number 2,
Bidding. Probably.
bidding.
I would say bidding.
Bidding. So and then that comes to points. That comes to objectives. That just knowing how you want to play the game before you even play the game.
Agreed. And what's cool about this, when you talk about bidding, there is a huge advantage to blue player. I know a lot of the times when we're making the tables, people want them to be pretty symmetrical, and I get that, especially like when we're having more casual games. But I think that it is more. You're not always going to have that. You show up to a tournament or a store championship. I don't want to say the tables will be lopsided, but there will be an obvious side that's better for you. Like if you look at the deployment objectives, for example, it's interesting that most of the deployment objectives put you on the bottom right-hand side of each side of the table. So being able to pick which side is super important for you, it's massive. You can basically get the first veto by picking blue player because you pick you take your deck. So by taking your deck, you've already chosen, okay, these are the 4 cards I want to play. Let's do it. Let's pick from mine. So you essentially get the first veto, and then you can start things from there.
Well, and that way you're also getting rid of because we're gonna get a whole lot more objective cards and deployment cards here soon with vital assets and stuff. Right away with doing what you just said, you're also taking away what you absolutely would lose at. You
Oh
know,
my
when
gosh.
you know you would hate to play that.
Oh, imagine like being a rebel player and not having strict orders, dude. You do not want to play hostile environment.
No,
really
you don't. No, and that's a good point. I honestly am getting. I struggle with seeing any purpose with hostile environment. Well, I guess like you said, you can just take away with strict orders, but that still leaves you with the chance like, oh, well, I was suppressed and I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody shot at me this round and I'm not in base contact, or maybe someone force pulled me out. You know, that's a really big thing that I don't know if really anyone wants to deal with.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we stopped seeing hostile environment like altogether. Maybe there's like this super good list that somebody has in mind with like a bunch of long range people. They're just gonna pluck at you from
Just
far
a
away.
bunch of high courage.
Yeah.
Dude, I question for you. So, like, what do you think about taking things? Because, like, as I've been thinking about this and reading about it and studying about it, there's like, first of all, taking red is something I want to bring up
Yeah.
because, like, I think there is a time to take red, but not always. Do you think that? What do you think about people taking stuff just to deny? Do you know what I mean? In Armada, for example, when you take objectives, people will usually try to force you into an objective because they'll take two that are just so bad for you.
Right.
One of them, for example, basically makes you put your capital ship in the middle of the board. So it makes the opponent put their capital ship in the middle of the board and nerfs it, saying you can't do these commands for 3 turns.
Ugh.
So it's super bad. So nobody ever takes it, but that leaves 2 other options. So do you think there are deployment, condition, and objective cards that you take because you know nobody else wants to, just so you can force them to skip that one if it comes up? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, like a little bit of padding to get what you really want.
To force their veto.
Yeah, so I think that's the only thing we really see in hostile environment for right now anyways. Disarray, well, like I say, I like it, but I see a lot of people just bring that because like, okay, well, nobody wants to play that, and I really want to play battle lines with like an R2 build so I can get Secret Mission. You know, like those kind of things, are those kind of objectives and deployments, if you add those, you know that your opponent's not going to want to bring them. But like, I guess what you're saying though as well with that is, like, if I'm red player, when would I want to do that? Like, for just let them do their objectives because.
Well, I guess like with red player, like, because sometimes like if you're out activated, if I'm out activated by 1, sometimes I'll take red, just so I can see where they're putting their commander, or where they're putting their big hitter, so they don't have that big of an advantage. But I feel like that's very situational.
Yeah,
very
and,
situational.
And I think it works for lists like Double the Fall, where it's like, all right, I'm out activated severely. Maybe we played. Maybe I know I could push for limited viz, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I could push. I know like that's probably going to be on there, so I can push for that. So yeah, I'll take red player, so that way I can just take my time getting into position for the fight.
So like I'm more like worried about like where's your Luke gonna be?
Yeah, right.
It's an interesting thing because it's like, man, it's super situational. But yeah, I guess like what other tips would you have about like picking objectives?
Well, just I don't know if I could go too much more into detail on that specific thing without beating a dead horse. But yeah, just definitely know what your list is good at and what it's not good at. There is always going to be things that you'd rather have, and just know those things beforehand, right? I've always gone in when I'm building lists these days. I always on Tabletop Admiral, I look at the objectives just to read them again and be like, all right, so is my list going to be good at doing this? A couple lists I've made lately, I'm like, well, for example, I've looked at the list of when Padme and ARC Troopers come out.
Yeah.
That list I've been calling the Heroes of the Republic, where it's Kenobi,
Oh,
Padme, Rex, R2, then Fives and Echo are put inside of a Phase 2 clone unit, then a couple more clone units. So it's like 8 activations, right? But super good 8 activations by the looks of it. Granted, we don't know what Echo and Fives are going to do fully. We kind of know, but we don't.
Yeah, like good ideas.
Yes, so we have a good idea. Those are. I was making the list. I'm like, okay, this would be really good for like recover the supplies, right? Because Kenobi can Guardian if he needs to. Padme can get Danger Sense if she needs to. Also, it would be really good for Breakthrough because R2 and Padme both have Secret Mission. If you play Padme's turn 0 card, you know, that's another thing. It's like there are more, like Alex Davies said in the stream recently, there's going to be more things that are divulged like that with that whole new keyword that are going to make huge impacts in turn 0. Anyways, to conclude this tangent, what I'm saying though is with that list I had in mind, with all those characters, super heavy duty, lots of points, expensive activations, I can't let them go out to die at all. Like there can be no loss on any front on that point, because if there is, and we go to points, I have a huge deficit on my side.
So you're trying to avoid things that like Empire players want.
Yeah. Well, and maybe that's something I do take hostile environment, because all my heroes have courage 2, 3, or above, you know? I don't think Republic has anyone above 3 right now. Yeah, I don't think they do.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, like, I think you're exactly right, and I think it's so important to get to know turn 0 and your own lists, so that way, like, for example, we have, like, vital assets coming. Mm-hmm. Dude, just think about this. Like, I give it about a year, maybe. In fact, I would maybe think one more pack with upgrade cards would take us to the point where you aren't going to know exactly what's in your opponent's objectives yet.
Right.
Like, you're going to start wondering when they show up, like, what did they bring?
Yeah.
Right now, it's pretty obvious.
Right.
Like, there's
It's like
there's like
4 to
5
yeah.
options, maybe 6.
Yeah.
But once we get to the point where we've got 7 to 9, you're going to be like, man, like, what did they actually take? And the veto power of blue is going to get just even better.
Yeah.
Even more important. Because suddenly you're not just saying, oh, well, they didn't take disarray or whatever. They kept advanced positions. Instead, you're going to be like, oh, crap, like, did they take everything for vehicles? Do I really need to have impact? And these things are going to become more important as the game goes on. Right now, it's kind of level playing field, back and forth, with some people having an advantage, I feel. But turn 0 will become way more important.
Right. And, I mean, like, there will still be some predictability, I feel. Like, if I'm bringing heavies, okay, that person probably also brought rollout. You know, like those kind of things. Like,
and clear conditions is probably almost always going to go.
Yeah, clear conditions, I feel like, is a good, like, nod to your opponent. Like, yes, we both want this. Thank you.
Like, none of us want to play these other things. Let's just get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like that, like, the respectful sportsmanship. It's like, let's stop playing games. We know what we want already.
Yeah.
But so anything else in turn 0?
I think that about covers it.
Yeah.
Like, if we need to talk about it more, let us know. If you
Yeah.
got questions, and like, go to the Discord, dude. Let's talk about it there. Keep the discussion going.
Absolutely. Turns 1 through 6, play as you know them. They're still majorly affected by that turn 0. But Matt, what about turn 7?
Dude, I love turn 7.
Turn 7 is my favorite turn of the game.
We've talked about this because I feel like, I don't know. Kyle was telling me the other day, he's like, you're a sociable guy. Like, you've got this way that people just, like, want to talk with you.
Yeah.
And that's important for turn 7, because turn 7 is like the feedback stage.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the discussion. Like, I like to call it the breakdown. Mm-hmm. It's that moment where you're taking the game down. You're kind of like, okay, man, like, that was a good game. Like, what'd you think? And the reason it's so important is because you get feedback on what did your list do? How did it perform?
Yeah.
And even more important, dude, you got to make connections with people during that. Because there's sometimes you play people, and I'm super guilty of this, where you get super quiet and super focused. But turn 7 is where you can be like, oh, man, that was so cool what you did here. Or, bro, when I missed all those saves, could you believe it? And then be like, oh, man, I thought I wasn't going to kill you, but I did. Or that was when the game changed. And that's when you can build the community. That's when you can really get feedback, make a connection, make an enjoyable experience, but also really key, get some reflection on what you did. What's your take, I guess?
Well, no, exactly that. It's just turn 7 is the healthiest turn for the game in its growth in both competitive and social community play. So let's say you're just the competitive guy. You're not really a social point. Just take turn 7 as the chance to be like, all right, man, I lost or I won. Like, let's say you lost. All right, man, I lost. What did you take advantage of? So, like, of course you have an idea, right? Like, you know where your units died, right?
Dude, your meme that you sent this week?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
No, another reason you should join the Discord. I won't divulge this meme. No, but so if I lost, I would want to. My first question would be, okay, dude, like, what went wrong on my, like, what when did you know you had me? You know, like what and then I could back up and be like, oh yeah, no, I made a bad mistake there, and there. And there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And next thing you know, you're just like calling your mom, like, man, what did I do in 3rd grade to get me to this point? You know, like,
what days of kindergarten did you let me forget? Dude, do you ever? Sorry, this might be off topic, but do you ever have those times in your life where you're like, oh yeah, I missed that day in kindergarten. I have a total lapse of knowledge. You know
my
what I'm saying?
gosh. Dude, maybe not necessarily that, but I have those days where I'm just like, man, like, I feel like I screwed up, and I'm like, oh no, like, that's coming back to bite me.
Yeah,
now,
like,
20-something years later.
So for me, it was like in second grade, I still didn't know how to like pronounce, or no, not even. It was way past second grade. I think like 5th or 6th grade actually. I still didn't know how to spell the difference between there, and there. So like 6th grade, I was like getting Fs on my papers because my teacher kept being like, "You didn't spell there right." I'm like, "What are you talking about? That's the same word." And so I got super confused, and so so I'll just spell how they spell it. And they're like, "No, you didn't spell there right." It's like, what? So like the way I say is like, "Oh, I missed that day of 1st grade or something." You know, like I missed it. I was sick that day they explained it. But yeah, so like. What I'm getting back on track.
I'm going to the Discord right now. By the way, I'm looking like, where did he type the word there?
No, I'm good now. Usually.
Yeah.
So getting back on track. Turn 7, super impactful for your growth and the community's growth. Maybe you want if you want to get better at this game in a competitive standpoint, you got to know what questions to ask. What kind of questions would you? I've said my questions. What kind of questions would you want to ask if you lost a game?
Oh man, I always ask like kind of similar to you, but like, man, what do you think was like the best play of the game? Or like my favorite thing right now is command cards. I'm always like, oh man, so like why did you play that command card there? Because I feel like sometimes command cards are played and like I know what they're going for. Other times I have no freaking idea, and I'm like, ooh, why did you play that? And not in a bad way, but in a like, oh man, maybe they saw something I didn't. And a lot of the times people take advantage of that, where like they jump a card on me a turn early or a turn late. And it really screws things up. No, it could be really fun, or even being like, "Hey, man, that was a really cool thing. I think a lot of people here, especially, they'll play fun lists, and I'll just be like, "Hey, man, like, how much fun did you have with that list?"
Yeah,
important questions like that.
Yeah, because like if they're like, "Oh, dude, no, I had a lot of fun. Like, I knew I was just trying something," then really you don't have to push it any harder. You can just be like, "Oh, okay, cool. Like that's great. Like you tried something out. You tried something new."
I did like that.
Yeah.
Or that was really cool. Have you thought of this?
I think another important thing is if you're trying to make an idea work with, and this goes in hand with that. If you're trying to make an idea work, let's say you're trying to make a triple tauntaun or a triple dewback list, right? This would pertain more to the dewbacks, but yeah. Let's say you're trying to make a triple dewback list. Yeah, if I failed with that list, the first thing I would want to ask is like, okay, what would you do to this list? Because I like this idea. I want to get this explosion to go off. You know, I say this term in Pokemon a lot, where it's the explosion you want to go off. You know, I want this card to perform this action, right? But there's so much randomization in a game like Pokemon with your deck of cards and everything like that. You have to have other cards that support you to get to that gimmick or that explosion as quickly as possible. So in a game like Legion, I want all, like if I was trying to run a triple dewback list, I want all 3 of my dewbacks to be in melee contact with all your core units, and I want my commanders to get there, like whatever the idea may be, right? I need as many command card support, I need deployment, I need help from round 0. I need all of that to help me get that explosion to go off like a bomb, right? And I want it to work for me. If it didn't work, that's when you need to turn to your opponent in turn 7 and be like, hey, I wanted this to work. What prevented me from doing that? And then for you, like the opponent could say, well, this is what I saw and this is what I took advantage of.
Definitely. And I think with it all, be tactful, man.
Yeah.
Don't be mean about it, but like remember, turn 7's about building community. It's about moving forward. It's about prepping for the next game.
Right.
It's about that, and that's really the thing. Prep for the next game.
Right, and we say turn 7 is our favorite, and that's because it
kind of is.
It's the most enjoyable. It's like, man, that was such a good time, you know.
Pressure's off, dude.
Yeah,
it's totally a casual moment.
Yeah, it's the relief of tension in like a movie when the I feel like in a tournament setting this is even more important. That's when like the jokes start flying a little bit more because you're not like the wheels aren't turning as hard.
Have you ever noticed that at tournaments it gets super quiet until about half hour left in the game. Yeah. And the timer, and then suddenly the game started ending.
Yep. You know, I totally know what you mean there. What other kind of things go down in turn 7?
Well, I think for one, like cleanup. That's super important.
No, you're right. It makes cleanup so much easier.
It does, and like I know if you're playing at your house, like it just lets you be like, oh man, like it turns something that was a chore into not being a chore. But also, like, if you're playing at a game store, you're going to have so much better cred with wherever you're playing in your FLGS. Because, like, dude, respect the store. Respect where you're playing. Take care of their stuff.
Dude,
Just do
I'm
that.
glad you said it because as the person that's running the store, I hate sounding like a broken record, like coming in after a game night and people just leave their garbage on the ground or, they roll up the mats poorly. And it's frustrating. It's disheartening because it's like, well, you want, as a business, you never want to shy anyone away, right? But also, if you want business, you also have to make sure your store is clean and presentable. In an operation like the one I help run, it's really a one-man job most of the day, And so, like, it really depends on the community, just taking that extra time, be like, hey, don't leave your crap on the ground. Like, don't do that.
Don't leave your bag of M&Ms there. like-
Yeah.
and it's yeah.
Like, I can't tell you how much sugar I've had to vacuum up off the ground because someone left their wrapper on the ground.
Oh no.
And I think really those two things are the
How
biggest
much
to me.
sugar was it?
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
No,
like-
I think those are the two big things that
Yeah.
bother me the most. Like, trash on the ground, left magic cards, but that's a whole different.
Oh, no.
Trash on the ground and mats that are just thrown underneath the table and not even rolled up,
Yeah.
not even put away properly.
Well, what's interesting is I think you bring up a good point. I've heard from other people, and especially like other casts as well, that like you want to get invited back.
Yeah.
And so if the store has a good experience, they're going to want you to come back.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to carry the product you want.
Yeah.
They're going to support you.
Well,
But that's just another side benefit of Turn 7.
Right. And if you want to take it from the completely selfish standpoint, if you're that kind of person, let's say you don't care about what the store has to say about you. Let's say you're just completely selfish. The more the store does like you, let's put it this way, Matt. Would you say, because you're close with me and you help out around the store when you can and when you get a chance, would you say every now and then you get a little bit of that back in some way? Like maybe you get an extra deal, or maybe like someone at the store hooks you up with something. Maybe not huge, but maybe it's just like, no, go ahead and stay an extra 30 minutes to finish that game kind of
Well,
thing.
I have noticed, especially like employees and stuff, there's a lot more of appreciation around.
Yeah.
And like you feel more welcome.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big thing, especially for people coming to play. If you're trying to encourage your group to grow, like, dude, there should be a welcoming feeling.
Yeah.
And a big part of that comes from the vibe that's set by whoever's running the store.
Yeah. Well, and like I said too, it's like it's not always a monetary thing. It's not like they're gonna like give you a 25%
Hey,
off.
bro, good job on
Yeah.
picking. Like, yeah, you don't get money for picking
No,
up
no.
trash, but
But
it's like the
it comes in the
impact.
smaller things, like, hey, this unit that's been really scarce and hard to get a hold of, I called you to let you know it's in because I know you want it. You know?
Yeah.
That kind of thing goes a long way. So it's a give and take. Like, treat your stores with respect.
It's like the Boy Scouts.
yeah.
Leave no trace.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't even think we were going to get talking about this, but that is such a huge part of Turn 7 and a huge part that, like, I'm glad we talked about that too, because just the respect of the store is a huge part of Turn 7.
Huge part.
And like, let's say, like, another store we play at, no naming names, but we're running out of space at that store, Keep treating that store with respect. Hopefully one day it'll come around and we'll get more space to play.
Yeah, like just do what you gotta do.
Yeah. So anything else in Turn 7, Matt?
No, I think we are ready for the next thing.
The next thing.
Time to start. We're gonna start wrapping it up, guys, with the question of the week. Questions of the week.
Questions of the week, my guy. Questions of the week. Yeah. What kind of questions do we have this week, Matt?
Well, we've got some good questions. First of all, a little bit of a fun one. Kyle, this is from Casey on Discord. Casey, if you're
my
listening,
guy.
I know you work late, 3 a.m. grind. This is for you, man. Kyle, what is your favorite non-Newtonian fluid?
So, full disclosure, I had to look up what a non-Newtonian fluid meant. I scrolled through the names and I found the first order fluid, and I chose that.
The first one.
Because Star Wars.
There's a Star Wars fluid out there.
There's a Star Wars fluid flowing around there. So I'm sticking with B, first order fluid, final answer. What about you, Matt?
Da-da-da. I'm sorry, that is incorrect.
Oh, no!
No, but tell me about that. What is the first order fluid?
I didn't look enough into it. I was working.
No. For me, dude, I chose. Do you know what oobleck is?
Oobleck. It sounds
Or
like
like-
a SpongeBob. Oobla! Oobleck!
Hoopla! Yeah.
Oobleck!
Apparently, it's Dr. Seuss actually.
Oh, really?
But it's something I made when I was a kid. It was like cornstarch and water, and you made
Oh.
that weird goopy stuff. It was super weird because like when it moved slowly, it would like move like a liquid. But if you punched it or slapped it, it would harden. Have you seen? I'm pretty sure you've seen where people take subwoofers and they put like plastic wrap over it and they pour like the cornstarch material.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it is. Super fun stuff.
Ah,
That's, and
yeah.
that's my favorite.
Well, never thought we'd talk about non-Newtonian fluid on the podcast, but here we are. Who would have thought?
Look at us.
Look at us.
Look at us. Who'd have thought?
Who would have thought?
Not me.
Our next question comes from Will, and also from the Discord. What are some things you recommend for prepping for a tournament, seeing as we have one coming up? What are the supplies, besides your minis, that can help make the event more successful for us as players? And then there's a little bit more, and we'll come back to that. But I want to get to these two first things. I feel like we already kind of addressed what are some things recommended for prepping. You know, bring your list ready to go, print it off. Bring some trays to easily maneuver between table to table. You know, bring a granola bar. Maybe you're like getting super hungry in between your rounds.
Ooh.
Yeah, like it'll come in clutch. Most game stores are going to have a snack section for you to pick from, if not just a couple things, right? But just keep in mind, like you might get hungry, and they may not have what you have. You know?
Yeah.
I can guarantee you a demo. We got your snack needs covered.
Oh man, but I think with that also, like, don't bring everything. You know?
Yeah.
Bring just the list you're gonna play.
Yeah.
Bring your tokens and stuff, because it gets annoying. I've done this before, and I'm super guilty of this, where you build a list and you're like, okay, I'll just grab my whole box.
Yep.
And next thing you know, you're digging through it.
Yep.
You're getting a little like frazzled. Take like a tray or something. I've seen people who like magnetize
Yeah.
their units, put little magnets on the bottom, and you just pop them and go. Makes cleanup so much easier. Makes turn 7 more about you and your. I mean, you only have 15 minutes between rounds. Do something like that, and organizers, man. I think organizers are really good, but yeah, just something to do. Be really quick.
Yep.
Snappy.
Yep. No, that's absolutely right. Just like the more streamlined you can get with your equipment and your supplies and yourself, the better. Also, just like make sure you got your phone off. Like I'm just gonna be straight with you guys. It's not nothing is more disheartening playing against someone who just won't get off their phone, or like is like. I understand if you have
I'm
an
pretty sure it's like not also allowed.
You're right.
Yeah.
Like, well, even like in turn 0, turn 7, right? Like those things are also just like, dude, like I'm trying to ask you a question. Maybe like I'm trying to ask you about your list and you're on your phone. Like that's rude to your opponent.
Yeah.
That's just
like it's important if you get to text somebody real quick. I get that.
Yeah.
But, bro, don't be looking up memes.
yeah. Don't be doing that. That's probably that's more for your opponent than you. The other part of your question, is it more important to be more familiar with a list or to bring something unexpected to for the meta that you might not be as familiar with?
Ooh, that's an interesting.
That's a really good question. Matt, what is your take on that?
Hot take. I think it depends on. I think there's 2 ways to take it, because I think both of those ways are valid to an extent. But I think if you want to win, and you want, like, if your goal is to perform your best, take something that's tried and true, something you've practiced with.
Yeah.
Because you can take something fun, but man, if you don't know the kinks, if you don't know what deployment you want, what objectives. Like, if you really don't know what your list does, you're gonna have a bad time. I say take something, try, test, and true. Get practice beforehand if you can. But I guess, what's your take on it?
No, I absolutely agree with you there. I think I don't know if I could really even say it any better. I think no matter what you do, you have to come in with it prepared, that you've practiced with it, whether it's twice or 3 times. Like, I would say minimum, play this list 2 or 3 times before.
Like minimum, like 3 times.
Yeah. Play with the list. And sure, like if you're not going to take it super seriously, by all means, just bring a list that you think might do well. And if you lose, you at least you knew that it wasn't in the cards for you, you know, and that's fine. I think but that's the thing. It's like you need to have like Matt said, you need to have the kinks. I'm at a loss for words because I actually don't know. I think you just said it perfectly. I don't know if I could even add anything to that.
I got something for you.
Okay.
And I think you might have some pretty hot takes on, some spicy words for it. Because the other part of the question, he brought up unexpected for the meta. How would you go about trying to be anti-meta? Do you just take something completely out of the blue? Like, how do you be anti-meta? Because he's talking about being unexpected. How do you be unexpected, I guess?
Just be yourself, man.
I don't know if anybody wants that. I'm just kidding.
Like, I've gone on and on about the airspeeder, and I'm sorry if you guys are getting sick of me talking about the airspeeder.
Again,
Dad,
Kyle.
come on. Not again.
Oh,
No, what I mean by that, though, is with the airspeeder, it's like I've played with that unit enough to know, like, its kinks and its flaws and its
I
Successes.
don't know if kinks is the right word, but
Oh, it's a kink, all right. It's a
stop,
huge kink for me. Don't kink shame me,
You hate
you
to see
Empire scum.
my DLTs have something to say about that.
Ooh, I don't want to know what DLT stands for. Actually, I know exactly what it stands for in Star Wars.
Oh, really?
No, no, I don't. I was hoping you would just let that slide. I really don't.
You know, the funny thing is I'm dumb enough that most of the time I will, and people will be like, do you know what I'm talking about? I'm like, no. Okay.
Don't light the
19.
19.
Or 20s, whatever, yeah. But I guess, yeah, so back to...
Dope lit trans 19.
What the heck are you talking?
I'm just trying to think of acronyms
Oh
for DLT
my
now.
gosh.
No,
yeah.
so yeah, anti-meta. Bring something that if you think honestly is going to disrupt that meta, do it. Like, by all means, I would love to see it. Like, you love to see
You'll
it.
love to see it.
No, and that's the thing. It's like, if I'm scared in turn 0 of a unit I'm not used to going up against, okay, not even that. Like, I would love to see like someone come to the tournament on Saturday, right? I would love to see just double air speeders, right?
Oh my gosh.
Just memeing it up
Like,
with the double air speeders.
I'm not gonna lie. Do you know what? I have no idea what to deal with. Jin double Pathfinders. You know why? Because it's been so long since I've had to play Jin double Pathfinders, or like just, I'd be like, man, what the heck? Like,
What do I do here?
like, yeah. And if somebody brought like an FD cannon and all this stuff, I'd be like, man, like, I haven't played these units in a second. Like, crap, how do I deal with these again?
Well, like, I guess going back to anti-meta too, like, anti-meta is against the meta, right?
Yeah.
What things are meta right now? Gun lines, suppression
lines,
handling. So
suppression.
what kind of things are you going to want to handle that? Things that have high courage value, things that can take care of those suppressive guns, things that can deal with the death troopers coming at you from the flank. You don't want to see that.
You hate to see
You
it.
hate to see
You
that.
hate to.
So yeah, if you're talking like strictly just wanting to build an anti-meta list, like that's the way to do it. Find out what's popular, what's meta, what's being played, and then build something to counter that.
And with that, dude, I think still practice.
Yeah,
like,
practice.
I know you want to keep it
practice.
secret, but man, like you can build an anti-meta list, and if you've never ran it before, you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. I cannot imagine a world where you win a tournament without practicing. I'm sure it's happened. I just don't like. You got to practice your list. You got to be acquainted with it. If not, even if it's a goal, like even if you are the Empire gun line and you've never played it before, your Jin Pathfinders are going to come in and wreck house. I feel like,
Yeah.
especially if it's recover the supplies. They're already done before you even started.
Rip. Good game.
Good
GG.
game. GG, my guy. We normally would have a double vision segment for you, but we are running a little bit longer than expected. Just real quickly, let's just name a couple things that we were excited for. We talked about the announcements last week, right? But just real quickly for double vision this week, what's something you're looking forward to in the future?
Clone Wars, man.
Clone Wars stuff.
Clone Wars. Really looking for that. I think the Commando droids for me.
Commando droids, and I'm glad you say that because I was going to say ARC troopers. We also did get the leak today that the Republic ATRT is in fact a thing. Like we saw the box for it.
Which pretty much guarantees stabs.
Yep, guaranteed stabs as
They're
well.
coming.
Republic ATRT, man. Like I want to see that. If it's worse than the
I can't imagine. Do you think so?
balance, I guess. Like that's the thing. It's like I really hope it's not, but it should be better, right? It's a newer piece of technology at that point.
Yeah,
it should be better. It's not broken down. It wasn't found in the dirt,
Right?
Like
I do see it being more expensive, though.
I can see it being more expensive, but they also should make it perform a little better. Maybe instead of surge to crit, it also has surge to defense. No, you don't need that with,
You've already got armor.
You don't need
You
it.
already
Yeah,
got straight armor.
yeah. Red saves maybe because the ATRT does not have white. ATRT currently has white saves.
Maybe it's just a white save surge defense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's do it.
So it's a little
Let's do
better,
it.
but it's not crazy.
I like how I say that like I'm in with FFG. Let's do it.
Right?
That's probably what they'll do to it to make it a little bit more expensive. But let me tell you, dude.
Also, clone token sharing. Was
Clone token sharing. Clone token sharing if their pilot or whoever's on board is a clone. Fire support. I get up in range 1 with an ATRT. I got a Z6 in the back. I'm throwing surge to crit with Z6s, my guy.
You don't have to use Rex. He doesn't have to be up there doing that for you.
Dude, that's the biggest thing. I'm tired of losing Rex because he has to be in the front to
Oh.
get that surge to crit.
See, because my Dooku loves him being up
Oh,
close.
I know he does. That
But you
dirty
hate to
rat.
see it.
You hate to see it.
Oh, love it.
Other than that, though, like with what I'm excited for, I just got to say real quickly, if I was an Echo, I'm just going to say it. Those two are going to be huge. I don't think as much as huge in ARC Troopers as they're going to be good in plugging them in for heavy on core units.
Don't even get me started on that.
Put them in phase 2 clone units. You have a 5 health unit without even the personnel upgrade. You have 5 health. You have 6 health, excuse me, because they have 2 They have 2 health. You have 2 courage. So let's say you did boof. You did boof. What does boof?
You got boofed on.
You got you did buff them with a personnel upgrade, right? So you got a phase 2 clone and you got Echo or 5s in there. That's 7 health, 2 courage, with more dice than Rex, about the same cost as Rex, maybe a little bit more expensive with all that going on. But oh my gosh, that's gonna be insane.
It'll be wild.
You could split fire too, which is gonna be nuts.
And we don't know if they come with keywords on them or anything.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
There is
but
potential.
that's a lot of potential. That's also about all we have for you guys today. It's a real pleasure. We love recording this podcast for you guys. And again, if you did enjoy the podcast, make sure to like. If you're new to it, consider subscribing. We do this podcast every week. Whatever platform you're on, we're on everything. So we hope you guys stick around for the ride.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, check us out on Discord, man. It's been real fun, and dude, it's getting better. It's getting better every day, and I love it. It's a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say before we leave, Matt?
No, man. Just this is Matt reminding you to aim before you shoot.
Ooh, because that's really good because you have AI dodge or move now.
I know. Don't forget to tap your offensive push
Tap your offensive push.
before you move.
But yeah, guys, as always, it's really enjoyable doing this for you. And until next time, we'll see you.
Peace.